And I would turn microphone off.
Yeah, your camera and mic off. And
Yeah, that's not. I'm just trying to make it like the sweet spot as close to the chair, so.
Yeah. And this, we don't want this crowding as well.
Yes, yes, because we can add, un, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, 7 por 3, 21. Yeah, we can put like one chair there. I'll sit in this.
Sorry, Barbara.
sure, it's fine. Okay, so I'm about to go into a meeting. I'll be in the building, but is there anything?
Yes, great question.
Just to turn it on.
Are there more table seats?
Yeah.
This one is all set on step 4.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, and so their faces will be there. Oh, I guess the other room is pretty simple to set up, so we can set that up. Oh, we're good.
Great.
If something comes up, is it possible to come find
Yes, yes. So I will, let me find out where we're meeting.
Okay,
And then I'll
great.
tell you where we are.
Thank you.
Watch out for the corners.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Welcome to here. It's gonna take long in chairs. And we have one more table that we can move.
I think we should bring it.
Okay. So just make sure the layout, I think 4 will be enough in there.
Oh, I'm assuming the other room has,
That's not taking them from our sweet spot, so I think I just want to take one more, but also we don't need to.
perhaps we can take
More
this
of
one.
these little ones. I can bring like 2 or 3 more of these as floaters.
Actually, this is great for, how many more? It's not gonna make a surfboard, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be loose kind of floaty people that have to pull near
Okay,
that.
let me start setting up the welcome. Can you bring this then to the big room to bring up there and this and this markers and then we'll be okay, I'm gonna set up the.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Let's see.
Is Anna an owl?
No.
Yeah. What? An owl?
It's like a meeting.
Okay, so then we just, oh, yes, yes,
Burlington now.
Oh, awesome.
I think we need to start setting up the tables for like the chairs. It's that corner.
Yeah, exactly, start filling the.
Like there, that.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, how's the text situation?
Great question. So right now, how I have it set up is this has the video and the sound.
Yeah.
This is the primary microphone,
Okay.
and then this is like
Secondary microphone.
a secondary microphone we can pass around to folks.
Can we put that here? Like this corner? Yeah, this one, right? Yeah.
I can try to put it into that corner a bit more. That's creating that space, but
I'll sit here.
just want to create a.
Don't make it like over here.
That way, here's pauses.
That's fine, I'll sit here.
Hi there.
Hi.
We're still setting up. Are you coming here for the 12 o'clock meeting?
I am.
So yeah, we're still setting up the room, but you're welcome to stick around. We've got a little while.
I probably will have it in the background most of the time anyway. So I'm going to be doing my housework today and listening in at the same time. So I'll get back on at 12.
Okay, great. We'll
Thank
be
you,
here.
Ann. Take care.
Thanks for doing
See you
this.
later. Alan? Jack's gonna be in this office where we're not here.
Okay. Alright.
I'm glad. Hello.
Get set everything up.
Goodness, move straight. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure y'all have a solid thought. That's what had, and then find out the rest of everything. Mix up the chair options. Something like a short is so long to set the it's kind of wonderful. Hi.
It's for your purposes.
All right. It's a shape.
That's awesome.
Hi, good to see you. Hi.
Yeah, I made it last time, sorry. I don't know to reach, but I can see who you are.
It was March.
Yes. No, I would love to. You were really last name.
Yeah, great to see you.
Yeah.
Not quite up. So we're Excel data.
Oh, yes.
Yours is over there. Vacation, or how you can make a vacation after.
Let's think like that. I think we're still trying to.
We shouldn't make it worse.
Okay, got it.
Oh,
So you can go there, Scott. So the welcome table can go here and more chairs can go here.
right. Yeah, that's true.
I'll help you. Or you're here, that'd be good. I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna move that up.
Actually, we're actually, this table is for lots of people. Yeah, and then we're gonna take out table three. This is we have there, and then you take this table, because the binders are really.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah.
Hi, Rhonda. Hello. How are you doing? Alex, yes. Okay. Yep. No worries, no worries. I'm not there with you for you. Next coming soon.
Large anti-predator. Yeah.
I thought it was here.
Oh, yeah, right, thanks, Robert.
Yeah, we'll also go and find it.
Yes, I know you.
And then we're going to
And you're all good.
coordinate, so Jennifer has.
Well, thank you.
Reading
It's not like it goes with you. Yeah. Give a little lights to come on. But yes, because I also was. Yeah, absolutely. That's the question.
Yeah.
So we sure it's gonna be necessary. So I got a personality. Today, right now. And so my.
Nothing else strong enough.
I know. Good presentations, minutes of exploration. Well, all right, now we go to your.
That is a technical term.
I'm sure you get out of it. Right.
Don't say Thank you for making me.
Yeah, well, I don't have.
Emma just solved this.
Okay, so what else do we need to do here?
We'll do a breakout room, but I think y'all are gonna set it in this room.
Where do you live?
Something like this, that would be great. It's not going to be an effort, so other solutions. And the other side says questions, comments, so you turn around. Ah, so cool. And then also make a little video.
Yeah.
Set off and it's face
I know that.
Because it's very fast, so we can actually keep that. And anyway, if you want to anywhere,
Wherever you feel comfortable, yeah, y'all can distribute yourselves however you like.
Yeah, I mean, that's what
maybe we just.
Oh my gosh.
Hi,
How are you? What can I do? Anything but technology.
Here.
This is the agenda that has.
We put some,
And also what I shared.
Is this your call?
They just came around and kick out around in 5 minutes, but I think otherwise, our intention was to reopen not really. Hope y'all get this thing, consider some food. Hi. Of course. There are umbrellas. That's where it goes to my name tags. Cards.
Is there a meeting Thursday? Is that what that meeting is?
Actually, I'm not really, yeah, the cross sector. Maybe
November, they are.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, wait,
This is the one that.
you want.
Okay, yeah. All right.
And the life cycle is, really, we think it's key to implementation, but
Yeah.
really,
Well, and I'm sure you know what this is.
I'm sure. So you know, we,
Yes.
and that really is going to be about. No, I really not. And it was, we actually asked Rachel, you know, the attorney, to look at, like, yeah, sure, she's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, I tried to go through this all.
She's so good. She's such a nice. But she's looking at, like, such a weird place. I've never gone to a movie before where we're actually ourselves.
Yeah.
She just doesn't feel like what we normally do.
Yeah.
So, but that's why we put that down, I imagine the protocol that we put forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I know it's.
And that's a really weird question, right? Our inventory, which is no matter what type of pet, you know, your life cycle. Actually, this bottom line, your emissions reduction is zero. It's such a weird.
Yeah.
It's just a weird space. If everybody is probably. Based on inventory, which is what the statutory, what the statute says.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna change. Yeah.
Coming down.
Yeah. Okay, ¿está bien?
Someone who's really good at PowerPoint is kind of practice screen sharing, but when I screen share, it's shared.
Hey there.
Hi there.
Hey.
Oh, hi, Elle.
Hey.
How are you doing? We're just practicing, making sure the sound is okay. We have like a separate screen that you're on, and then we're using my computer to screen share. So during the meeting, we'll screen share, and then if you can just be monitoring the chat, popping the different links in that are in the document.
Yeah.
Is the sound okay? Can you hear us clearly?
I can hear you. It was harder to hear whoever's in the back. Carla, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure.
How are you? Can you hear there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's not crisp, but I.
I'm just trying to remember who
We met at the union. This is our first part. Can you hear me? And are you part of it?
Bring it over, Interagency, quiet for just for 1 second, so we test sound out.
Can you hear me clearly? Talking with the microphone like that?
I can hear you. You're not super clear, but I think people can figure it out.
If I hold it farther away, if I hold it really close, is that worse?
That's not better. No.
Okay. Can you hear me if I speak into this?
Yes, I think for whatever reason I can hear you talking,
Okay.
but I don't think the microphone is doing anything differently necessarily.
Okay. So this is more effective than this.
Yeah, do not use that. That is.
Don't use the microphone. Okay, that's super helpful. We'll use this guy. All right, yeah, well, I think we're figuring out the screen share. We're gonna do the separate meeting for the breakout room. If you feel good, I think you could just stay here until it starts or pop off, whatever you need to do.
Cool, sounds good. I'll be here, but I turn my camera off in case you need it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Elle.
Yep.
Name. There, with a sharp. Yeah, but no, we can stay forever. Yeah, I'm sitting right next to you. So it's name, who you represent, and the back question comment, and how it's gonna work. You're gonna explain it. You have to like this, and then if you have something to say or question, your friends will interact here. And you have a binder.
Right now, I'm sharing screen, but this is where the video and audio is coming from, and this is going to be our microphone too. And my computer obviously can't capture it.
I'm staying under the right. So I'm like.
Yeah, it was I didn't get trained.
Hello, hello. Good. It's time for the party, right? Yeah. How are you? Yeah, everything. Got it.
Yeah.
This morning, I was reading. There are lots of people. Oh my God, And so we're like these two new overarching offices. I didn't do it as good as the first time, so now just why I last week. Yes. Are you here in Burlington?
Oh, really?
We each put it together and
If you write your name, write your name and the group you represent. And question or comment. You have like you're missing. You're a member of the group. Yes. There's always an list. Order. So that will here. And the same thing. Comment.
I could, Carla, I could be over here with there. I'm not gonna trip anybody here. And I won't trip anybody over here.
Do we need to plug this in?
Okay, I'm just gonna stay here and not use my computer.
All right, so you want to start or do you want to replace? We're all going to this morning. So grateful for everyone's presence today. Here's Steve's father, and I'm here with Allison and Aaron. As we endeavor on some really super intense essential work. So, yeah, we're going to get into it because we have a really ambitious agenda for today, and hope that the meeting gave us a chance Honor that we're all just humans showing up the best we can today. Carrying all the stuff we all carry. So we're gonna be agreements in how we hold each other. But I'd like to just let Alex and my supervisor, Carla, who's been an incredible support to us as we try to support you. Who's also on our interagency committee, to say a couple welcoming words. Yeah, go for it. And also, tech etiquette. The mic is pretty quiet, so we're gonna try to pass. It just speak slowly and be a little more patient, but that serves everything.
Hello, can everyone hear me on the screen?
We can hear you on the screen now. It's a little bit tricky when folks are further back in the room or if the backs are turned towards this computer to hear the sound.
So if we pass the microphone around, it's fine.
I'm not sure we can test it out. I can hear you right now. So yeah, that works. If you're in the back, Carla, right? I think I can see you. So yes.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Carla Raimundi. My pronouns are she, her, and I work with the Agency of Natural Resources. I am the Civil Rights and Environmental Justice Director, and the unit is composed of Alex and Creeps and myself. And I just really want to take the time to welcome you all to this space, this container that we have so meaningfully created for all of us to engage in good, meaningful conversations today, and hopefully moving forward as we think about the environmental justice law and the implementation of this law. I only have a few minutes and we're behind several minutes, so I won't take a lot of time, but I would like to point you towards the principles of environmental justice in your binders for the members of the advisory council and the interagency committee. And I would like to ground us in these principles. I hope you take the time to read them. And I also would like us to recognize the space that we are occupying right now and recognize what's been happening in the last several days with the catastrophic. And I went to get coffee this morning and I saw these images and I thought about, what great opportunity we have in this room, the folks sitting around this table, to actually do something meaningful to alleviate some of the disparate impacts that some Vermonters are actually the recipients of. And so I want to take a second now to request a minute of silence to breathe in and exhale so that we can let go of some of the strong emotions that perhaps have accompanied us during these days. I know that I have. And really think of this space as an opportunity to converse about the things that are in our minds as we think about environmental impacts, not only for us, but all of us around us. And so let's just take that minute to breathe and ground yourself in this moment. Now being a little bit more grounded and with a little bit more space perhaps. Let's think about the words of John Kabat-Zinn. We must be willing to encounter despair and sadness when they come up and face them over and over again if need be, without running away or numbing ourselves in the thousands ways that we conjure up to avoid the unavoidable. And this is my way of inviting you all to have the conversations that need to be had and that probably had not been had in this way here in Vermont. So thank you very much, and I pass it on to Fuse and Alex.
We pass it right back to Rich, actually, who offered to just do an acknowledgement so we can all be present physically in the environment that we're in right here right now.
The microphone's close enough?
Yeah, I knew. Y'all keep giving us, verbal signs on volume. Help us do.
Lumini, thank you. By interview money, we finally with Lily. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this place. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the opportunity to share these words of acknowledgement. Speaking with Mariana earlier, and we believe that change is the only constant. Creation is change. That's what it is. It's change shape, change form, change being. Creation is continuing. We are a part of creation. We're surrounded by it. Sound, words, song are a prime force of creation. One of the biggest. Words matter. So what we say is to be thought about and very carefully.
Sorry to interrupt it.
Acknowledge. We should acknowledge where we are, who we're with. I want to acknowledge this land, all of our relations, all of them, the ones that have been here before, ancestors, the ones that are yet to come, all of our relations, human and other than human, we're all here now, and we are all responsible. So I acknowledge this place as a homeland to be Benaki, with our ancestors and allies, and all those who are here now. And I ask that we work together, with work, love God, accept the responsibility, and we want to meet up. We need me now. Thank you again for coming. Easy Nilambak, Easy Nilambak, new friends already.
I wanted to ask if it's possible for someone with a phone to call in and then put us on speakerphone and hold that phone when you're talking. We're having a hard time hearing with the microphone that's there.
All right, okay, we will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, so Phoebe will work on that, and I'll just try to speak slowly and into the microphone. These housekeeping items are most relevant for the folks in person. Just want to go over some quick housekeeping with you all. So, meeting is recorded, just so you all know, and we want to encourage you throughout the meeting. Take care of your needs. So please leave the room if you need to. There's a bathroom on the second floor. Follow the there's a kind of green sign. It's a bathroom. It's on the second floor. And I don't know if any of you guys need childcare. You're allowed to leave children on the first floor unattended if they're over 6. When you're introducing yourself, we all have name tags hopefully at this point. And we just ask that you speak slowly and you share your pronouns, which I did not do. Apologies. Alex, be her pronouns. And the folks who are sitting in the circle here, the advisory council members and the interagency committee folks, we have the little name cards prepared, which on one side will say your name, and on the other side says question or comment. And the idea is when you want to speak, instead of having to raise your hand, you can flip your name card. And we'll be keeping track of who flips their name card when to make sure we all speak when we want to. And the folks who are here from the public, you can raise your hands. When speaking, yes, I said this before, but just speak slowly. Good reminder to myself. and try to avoid use of acronyms in the space. As for materials that are supporting this meeting, the interagency committee folks and the advisory council have binders. If you flip through the binders, we'll kind of view what resources are relevant when. For the folks who are joining virtually, can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, Rachel's giving a thumbs up, great. We'll drop in the chat a folder that has all the same resources that are in people's binders. So all the resources for the meeting are in that folder that will be shared in the chat, and we'll share the resources as they come up again. For folks who are joining in person here, there is a page on the welcome table that has QR codes that will take you to that same resource folder. It also has a public comment form if you want to leave a public comment. There's also going to be multiple opportunities throughout the meeting for public comment, which we will review when we go over the agenda. Yeah, I think those are the main housekeeping items. Are there any clarifying questions? All good then?
This is
And Abby, if you want to set up a name tag for yourself. I don't know if I can make it all. Okay, great. That's it for housekeeping. And now I'm going to pass it over to Beebs, who's going to talk about community agreements.
Did you mute us on purpose? We can't hear anything if you did not try
Yeah,
to mute.
sorry, we're trying
Okay.
to figure out if we can
Okay,
connect
good,
to
good.
the
Just wanted to make sure. I figured. Thank you.
This is still okay so far? Fun, right up, okay. All right, good. So yeah, so I wanted to just take a minute, practice consent, just see if we can anchor into some community agreements about just how we're holding each other as we're in dialogue today. Want to recognize that these first three agreements were brought in by the facilitator from BCRD, who Jessica has returned. Thank you for keeping us off on this path. Thank you for the feedback we got from folks. We have 5 agreements now because we had 2 new ones sort of brought forward. So I'm just gonna read through them real quick, get a temperature check if folks feel like there's anything that's making them feel a little hesitant to consent, and if not, then hopefully we can embrace these. So agreement 1 is just to be present with yourself and with one another. Present with your body, with your feelings, and be aware of when you might need a break, what you need to take care of yourself, and also just take the time to be present with one another by actively listening and turn off our distraction rate when other folks are speaking. Agreement 2, calling in, calling out. So you can assume the best intention of each other, and impact is impact, and that's what we should be attending to in this space. So let's be brave enough to acknowledge when we hurt one another, pause to be accountable for that. Thanks, Amy, for the ouch and oops language, which folks might be familiar with. You're welcome to use that if it works for you. The third agreement is to expect and accept non-closure. It's 12:19, this part of the agenda is supposed to be done at 12:20, so here we are, living in probably a non-closure in our conversations, and I'm feeling like we can't get to it all, and that's okay. We're here to keep conversation going and figure out how to keep this going. Agreement 4, thank you, Kyle, centering respect. And yeah, be respectful, be intentional, work to build trust and create a safe and inviting space. And also number 5 is, as we're sharing verbal in other space, try to be mindful about how much space we're taking up and whether we're really getting an equitable and balanced set of voices in the room. When I say equitable, that doesn't mean we all need to say the same amount, but let's really think about whose voices just entering and why, depending on. So anybody want to add anything to enrich these or understanding and or just voice anything? I feel like we might be in consent space, and I invite the public to be with us in some things as we're all doing this together, trying to break the barrier down between public and council. I can just see some like visual cues that we're feeling like, yes, I want to like be great, okay. Folks on screen, if you want to do thumbs up or indications, fantastic. All right. That is our community agreements. If you have them in your binders, you can anchor yourself back into them.
May I just give proper acknowledgement? I'm reading the document here, and actually the fourth came from Brittany Watson, who's on the line. So I want to give proper acknowledgement.
Sorry,
No, it's no problem.
Sorry, Brittany.
Could you repeat that for the folks online, please?
Say that again. Yeah.
Could you
sorry. What's the word I'm looking for? Attributed. Thank you. The fourth agreement, which is Senator Stack, and actually Brittany had brought that suggestion forward. So thank you very much. Okay, so it's just minutes, yeah? Okay. Real quick. I don't know who actually went back and read the minutes, but does anybody have any concern with consenting the minutes of the last meeting as our next order of business? No concerns? Okay, great. So we're going to say consent to accepting the minutes as are, and the consent to agenda for today. Thank you.
All right, hello everyone. There were agendas printed outside for folks joining from the public, and all the advisory council members and interagency committee members. Go to the second page. We have our agenda, and I'm screen sharing for those online. So this is the general layout of our agenda. We're doing the welcoming right now. Then we're going to move into two breakout. Then we're going to do a brief presentation. Keith and I are going to give a brief presentation on the EJ law, followed by a question and answer. Then we're going to have breakout rooms for the interagency committee and advisory council, where we're going to talk about how we're going to work together, identifying short-term action steps, and then we're going to come back to a joint session to report back and make some decisions there. Then we'll have a break, and there'll be a break between the breakout rooms too. And then at the end, the last session is really going to be focused on the core principles of community engagement. Plan on starting off with a listening session where the interagency committee is going to be listening to the advisory council and the public, taking notes. And then after this, we're going to jump into brainstorming of the principles by the interagency committee, with everyone reflecting after that. And then we have the closing. So with that, and in blue, you see the spaces where there is public comment. But we want to encourage folks to raise your hand if you're in the public if you'd like. Any concerns or items that want to be added to this agenda at this point, or do we feel comfortable with this plan? And let's move ahead. I guess we could do Amy was saying like 5 is like totally in, 1 is like kind of like it. So 5, 1 or 0. Okay, seeing a lot of 5s, that's awesome. Then we're going to move to the next section, which is a brief presentation. So let me pull that up. There we go. And Pete, you're starting.
Okay. We're going to stop talking since it's awesome. So our intention for this time is just to do some pretty basic level setting. And, you know, we're all at different kind of levels of familiarity with all of this, so we'll get through what we can today. And, you know, we'll continue to learn together. But just to put it in kind of the big picture context, yeah.
I'm just checking, is that what the public sees?
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, you hear
Great.
Thank you. Okay. So this first screen is directly out of the environmental justice law that passed in 2022 in Vermont, which establishes a policy for the state of Vermont around environmental justice. They're specifically saying that no segment of the population of the state, because of its racial, cultural, or economic makeup, bear either a disproportionate share of environmental burdens or be denied an equitable share of environmental benefits, and calls for us to provide the opportunity for the meaningful participation, a very specific definition, of all individuals with particular attention to environmental justice, its population, development, right now, implementation, also what we're doing now, and or enforcement of any law, regulation, policy. And to achieve that very ambitious goal, there's been established a set of groups to sort of channel and bring together the stakeholders in our state, which really is everybody. But there is an advisory council that is at the heart of this work, which is made up of representatives from environmental justice focused populations, which the law defines as anywhere in the state where there are concentrations of folks who speak languages other than English as their primary language, who identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color, and or who are low income. Just to be clear, so you sit on the right side. So that's the advisory council. Everybody on the advisory council wants to just raise their hand right now, so you get a feel for who you all are, not just a box on a screen, but human beings. Thank you. And then we have an interagency committee, which represents, has representatives from each of these covered agencies here, who are really responsible for making sure the state follows through on this policy. So if you all want to raise your hands, welcome. Yeah, keep rolling. Literally. So going back into these three key aspects of the law, like meaningful community engagement, an equitable distribution of environmental benefits, and trying to reduce environmental burdens, in particular disparate impacts. And all of that gets supported by sort of a set of requirements for the state to start doing more reporting and more accountability for these outcomes. So we just want to get into it a little bit more concretely. So the law specifically calls for us to work together to put state agencies on track to create agency-wide plans for how community engagement is going to be meaningful, more impactful, more effective, more coordinated. There is a definition in the law of meaningful engagement, which is really about centering the most directly impacted people first, foremost, and throughout the development of any solutions. Thing about us, without us, right? Like the centering of the folks you think you're trying to serve, they have the solutions. So we need to center them in these dialogues as state agencies. So the timeline and process specifically called for is for the Interagency Committee to adopt a set of principles that should inform these state plans by September. That's why we're spending time today working on that together. And then the agencies have until July 1, 2025 to actually adopt their engagement plans, being advised by the advisory council in that process. So that's the first kind of big area of work. The second area of work is to say to state agencies who are responsible for everything from affordable housing to green transportation to our state parks to planting trees in our cities, to say, where are you doing that? For whom? Why? Who's benefiting? And are you really being accountable again for making sure the most directly impacted folks in our communities are accessing those resources? So agencies will be asked to, by April of next year, do a 3-year look back at spending and start to say, can we measure that? And to the extent we can, early finding. That comes back to kind of Alex and I and A&R to sort of summarize the meta findings from all the reports. And then ultimately, the law calls for all of us to collectively then advise agencies on what policies, procedures, guidelines need to change to improve these outcomes. Covered agencies are asked to make a goal to make sure that they're investing proportionately. And then covered agencies will report every year until January 15, 2026. I'm gonna do the last 2 minutes. Go for it. I just rolled. So that's the benefits piece, and I know this is dense, and I know it probably doesn't make a ton of sense if you're first time in this. So again, bear with us. There's time for us to get anchored into what this means in reality. The third area, right, is reducing environmental burdens. And so here's, what does it mean when somebody can only afford housing in a floodplain and doesn't have access to English language alerts about what's going on during the flood, and the air quality is really terrible. This person already had asthma from growing up in a neighborhood that had bad air quality, pollution. These are cumulative environmental burdens that impact particular communities particularly hard. And so our responsibility with the Agency of Natural Resources kind of leading, but in full coordination and consultation with all of you, creating a mapping tool that actually helps us start to see where these burdens live in communities in Vermont or exist in Vermont by January of 2025. Our agency needs to do some rulemaking to talk about how we define cumulative environmental burdens, how they should be considered in decision making. And then the covered agencies go into really, I think, an iterative process starting in July 2026 for years. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. To start to shift the different rules and guidelines and regulations that make these systemic injustices happen over. Yeah, and then last but not least, there's 3 annual reports that covered agencies are going to be accountable for producing, just to really, again, show the accountability piece of this, what takes up of how we're doing, and to communicate with one another, reporting to the extent we're receiving civil rights or environmental justice complaints, report that to the advisory council, so all of you can start to advise us on how to respond. A summary of any action that's been taken in your agency to advance environmental justice, and the benefit study reports. Cool. So that's like kind of the really big high level charge. And then we were given some money to help us make that happen. So we're going to spend some time talking today about what do we need to do to direct resources to make this happen. There was $500,000 appropriated initially, specifically to support the development of the mapping tool and to support community engagement as sort of led by the advisory council. So we've started to sort of, think about some different ways to parse some of the funding out, based on kind of a lot of research around like the bare minimum cost of some of this mapping work, and also knowing like community engagement needs significant investments as well. Numbers are suggestions, so we're here to talk about this. We'll have time during our action planning to what it look like and what it would mean to invest, 100,000 in community engagement, how what would look like. There's also $150,000 in extra carryover that is to be determined also how we want that to supplement the work that we're doing in community engagement and mapping tool, which by the way, developing a mapping tool needs community engagement baked in. So yeah. So I'm gonna stop. That's our big picture. We're gonna open up to Q&A at this point.
Yeah, and just.
Yeah.
I think I realized I might not have explained the question process. So if you have a question, you can just flip your name card, and we're going to keep track of when you flip your name card, and we'll add you to a stack of names. So hope that's clear, and I'll pass it off to you again to do Q&A.
I might just repeat questions when they come in, since I feel okay for folks, but okay, great. Cool. Great.
Councilor Hagar.
Oh, I thought they flip up and down. My bad. I don't think I understand. Great. Go ahead.
And I thought it was something. What are we gonna do?
It's like I don't say, hi, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just a little kind of logistics about the end there. Are you all under a different budget that's not part of the mapping?
Correct.
And that's where the very
We got hired.
And could you repeat that for us, please?
Question was whether these funding numbers also include salary costs for Alex and myself, which they do not. That is additional funding. That actually was put into our base funding, so they're no longer temporary positions that we. Great, okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariana, and I just wanted to comment and say thank you for this representation. It was very clear for me, and I am not a native speaker, but I have been familiar with this language, so it is more clear and more clear as you talk about it and as I read about it. But I want to make sure that the members of the public know that some of the terms may or may not be familiar to you, And feel free to raise your hand and be involved in this conversation because we really want to listen from all of you. So just, jump in.
Thanks.
Don't be shy.
For folks online, Marianne is just reinforcing that this language takes a bit to get familiar with, and don't be shy, members of the public, especially, to raise your hand. Dave, great. Oh, thank you.
Can you bring the microphone?
Yeah, let's see.
Like, women to flag it.
Thank you. Dave Pelletier with the I'm just observing that the mapping tool, which may be something that's fundamental to doing some analysis for some of the reporting, won't be available until after at least our first year of spending reporting. And so just to acknowledge that there might be something needed internally, so guidance on how to conduct that analysis.
Yeah. So for folks online, Dave was pointing out that the environmental benefit spending report involves looking at where EJFPs exist, so the mapping tool relates to that. Oh, sorry, environmental justice focused population. So yeah, so the question is how are we going to do the spending report, and that's not ready yet, essentially. There's a few folks, Megan Cousino, I'd like to give a shout out, DEC, who are going to putting together some more static maps of our current definition of environmental justice population. We do have ways with our current data systems without our holding fancy map to show where there are these overlaps of the three sort of definitions for EJ focused populations, environmental justice focused populations. So we're going to put those together and have them by the end of next month as like, different visuals to work off of at this stage.
Just one follow-up to that, you'll see this November 15th. Oh, and I had a question about.
Could you repeat the follow-up for us, please?
Sure, just that you can see it on the screen right now, the first red box on screen guidance for spending report will be coming out in November of this year. But also just wondering if they're auto-transcribed on this meeting or anything like that?
Yes, the transcriptions are on, correct.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, ask your questions as they pop up today, because this will be the last time we ask questions. It's an open space for that. So thank you all. Yeah,
I just wanted to add to the, sorry, one more thing for the transcription. If folks in the room want them to show up on the video screen, you'll just want to go to that ellipses and click the transcribe area to have them show up on the screen for those of you there.
I just want to mention, whoever just touched the microphone made it much better. So I don't know what you did to it, but it's significantly better. Whatever you just did, Feeds.
Huh.
You're holding it to your mouth.
Yeah, you have to be you got to really be intimate with the mic to make it work for you. All right, I think any other questions for online? Okay, great, cool. So let's transition. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, so that was just our brief Q&A and hoping that we level set a little bit more. We're going to transition now into breakout rooms for the advisory council and the interagency committee to start meaningfully talking and going from the how, or the what, sorry, the what was that presentation, what we need to do together, and how we're going to move into the how. So how do we want to start getting this work done? So anyone who wants to go to the breakout room across the way, it's called the Pickering room. That's the interagency folks. If you follow Emily, she'll lead the way. And for those people online, in the chat, there's going to be dropped a different room, a whole different meeting link. So if you want to go to the interagency meeting, just leave this meeting, go to that meeting that's in the chat, and then we'll reconvene here. Advisory council folks, stay in here for the conversation. So I'll give everyone a couple minutes to move. Yeah.
I just want to know if there were some members of the public who came to make comment. I don't know if this would be the best time.
Yeah.
Do it if it's not specific. I think some people, I think that maybe aren't specific to it.
Yeah, by all means, that's welcome right now. Yeah.
And there will also be multiple other times. So if you want to keep mulling it over, but this is, oh, great. Oops, I am. Okay. That's as far as it goes.
Hi, thanks, I'm Liz Curry, and I'm a community development consultant. And I am confused about the public comment because it says you have public comment throughout, and I'm just confused. I didn't expect this. I didn't know what you do or who you are. What you're doing, I didn't expect this format. I just thought it'd be like a nice white culture, come and give your presentation to a set of people really dressed really nicely in front of the room, and I'd be done, but it isn't, which is awesome. And I'd love to stay for the afternoon, but I can't because I'm a consultant and I have things I need to do. So I'm just confused because I don't have like things to say, but I would stay if I knew there was like an opportunity to do that. So I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, I can try to clarify and then Phoebes can chime in if I miss something. But this is only the second meeting of the Advisory Council and Interagency Committee. And so I think we're still trying to figure out how we want to incorporate public comment. But we do know that we want it to be really central, and we want there to be multiple points throughout the meeting for the public to give their feedback and advice and weigh in. And maybe ultimately just to be more integrated as opposed to having public comment periods kind of siphoned off. That's not my decision to make. These two bodies will make that decision going forward. But for today, we do have all those public comment. So if you have something you want to share with this group, by all means, now would be an excellent time. Even over here, so you can speak into the microphone. This is a great time. Also, if you want to wait for the other times, it's really absolutely your call.
I would appreciate it. I don't want to hold up your agenda. So thank you. Liz, can you consider?
Yeah.
Thank you. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name's Liz Curry, and I've been living in the Old North End for 35 years here in Burlington. I've been working in the community development sector for 30 of those years, developing affordable housing in the nonprofits, working in public transit, administering federal and state grants. And so my background, I'm kind of a regulatory nerd. And the reason I'm a regulatory nerd is because those of us who administer regulations or apply for grants that have federal regulations and have social and racial and economic justice principles view regulations as an opportunity to help deliver money to those who need it the most or get in the way and make projects more expensive. And the essence of what I want to share with you today is that in Vermont, there are a group of housing funding agencies that have worked very hard for 40 years to design and align their systems and procedures. And this is very bureaucratic and technical, but it is where the rubber meets the road on environmental justice. So I appreciate all of the work and thinking you are doing and are gonna do, but when it comes to the work I do, which I want to talk specifically about manufactured home cooperatives, because I'm working with 3 or 4 of them to try and get money from the Agency of Natural Resources to redevelop their water and their sewer infrastructure, because most parks, as you know, have pretty unhealthy, unsafe, and unresilient infrastructure. And so fortunately, Gail Pezzo, who's on the board, can speak to that directly. I work with boards like Gail's all the time. And coming out of the affordable housing sector, I've worked with all the housing agencies for 30 years, and they are incredible. hard to be nimble. And I know that's not the perception now when you're looking at these agencies through a race and class lens. That is not necessarily what many people find, but coming out of the history where I've been, not where I'm starting from or where other people are starting from, they have been nimble, they have been partners, they have been accessible, they have been interested in delivering social and economic justice outcomes because the community development sector was founded in the civil rights movement, and that's its goal. That is where the money comes from, out of HUD, out of USDA, and even out of the Housing Finance Agency, if you can believe it. But that has been our practice, our standard, our success. The track record in Vermont has been successful. And during Hurricane Irene, we were asked by the housing funders to go to the Agency of Natural Resources because there's a lot of money there from the EPA. There's a lot of money there now for environmental justice. But we have an agency, and I just want to say all the people like Megan on Megan's team, other people's team from the ANR are great people who hold these values too, well-intentioned, but as we know, intention is different than impact. So the back room of ANR, the infrastructure, the administrative infrastructure is firmly in the way of us being able to achieve what we need to achieve to redevelop mobile home park infrastructure. And the administrative practices, what I want to ask is that this committee work very hard to look at the administrative practices and procedures that the housing agencies use and ask the Agency of Natural Resources to open up its process, invite us to the table. Look at us as partners, look at us as professionals who know what we're doing. When you're underwriting these projects, right now, all we get is a wall of resistance. And we don't get a forum. I'm here because ANR has not created a forum for us to bring these concerns. We don't get invited, we don't get listened to, we don't get curiosity, we don't get humility. We get, these are the rules, and it's kind of like if you're playing basketball in this country and you're going to the playoffs and all of a sudden this team comes from another country and they're like, no, you have to play by our rules, and then you need twice as many people and it costs twice as much and you don't know the rules and you're circling around trying to win the game for your team, you can't. So the impact of this is that it costs the projects that Gale's residential community needs, it costs them more. It costs them more. This isn't about me. I don't want to spend my time charging parks for my time to go navigate ANR when they are out of sync with the rest of the housing funders that we use on these projects. It costs these projects more. ANR's attitude is, in fact, I got an email from Commissioner Beeling today. Oh, we're environmental justice advocates too, because we're setting this is so technical, we're setting a standard for if you have $100,000 projects, you need a bond. You need a construction bond. That costs $6,300. The federal regulation for a bond is $150,000. So they are setting the requirement for a bond lower than the federal acquisition regulation, which is, I know, kind of weird that I know this stuff, but that's the problem. They're justifying that it costs $6,300 for a project like Gale's community has to pay for a cost that shouldn't even be there. And that kind of example is like, those of us who work in this sector have like 25 examples like that. So I'm hoping this committee, when it gets to that point, and I do have a sense of urgency about this because like Weston's mobile home park just got flooded in Berlin. The water's up to their homes. If we have to go as the people who work with them, help them redevelop their infrastructure, we're going to face this ridiculous process that should be streamlined because there are agencies like Grace's and other housing agencies that know how to do this. They know who we are. We're a familiar sector. We have the skills. We do this all the time. And ANR is like coming into the game, just being completely unaligned with the rest of the sector. So that's it. Thank you for listening to my comments, and thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Liz. Go ahead, Miriam.
Yeah, I just want to say that thank you for sharing that. And
Sure. So one more thing which I want to add related to affordable housing society is that serious cleanliness issues because they are living in really dirty environment. I live in affordable housing and I can tell that even people are literate in the buildings, they just throw trash. They even threw dead birds in front of our house. But we do at individual levels, but broadly speaking, there are serious cleanliness issue, you know, in affordable housing societies too. And there needs to be work both ways. One is like sensitizing people living in those areas also, but also by the state to, you know, remove trash and stuff, because if in one building, like 6 families or 12 families are living and you pick trash on weekly basis, that's not gonna work. You know, so we have to think that way to our waste management system. I just wanna leave it here.
Thanks, Mariam.
Hi, I'm Carla Raimundi. I represent the Agency of Natural Resources. And I want to thank you, Liz, for your comment and acknowledge that I heard what you're saying. And I think the important thing to recognize here is that this space is a space where we share and you're heard, and I heard you. And as part of the work of the agency and the commitment that we have to improve our programs with an environmental justice focus in mind, we're working towards recognizing where we can improve. And so I just want to acknowledge your comment and thank you for showing up, being here and for speaking up. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, last public question, comment, or anybody, we're trying to blow the line here. And that'll be turned from the other. We'll try to be more explicit to let you know your voice is welcome on these conversations.
And thanks again. It really helps us when you hold the mic right to your mouth. I know it probably feels a little silly, but it's quite helpful.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. All right, great. So next on our agenda is going to be breakout groups. So the interagency committee will go over to the Pickering room, and Emily by the door there can guide you. The advisory council folks can stay here. If you are online, Elle will drop a alternative meeting entirely to work with tech workarounds. So if you can sign on to that meeting, keep the link for this original meeting handy so you can come back. Time comes. We were scheduled to do this breakout till 2:10. So let's just proactively say 2:20, and we're back in here at that point.
Members of the public.
You all choose. So members of the public, your options are how you have an advisory council who really are focused on community engagement, on making sure the voices of directly impacted communities are centered. So they'll be different on how they want to do their business. The interagency committee will be talking about how they want to work as a committee. And that includes how they both want to show up for the deliverables, but also guide the agencies to take the information like we just heard home and get agencies to shift practices. So you choose your adventure, Pickering room or this room. And they'll both be recorded also, so you can go back and see the other room.
Okay.
All right, everyone. So advisory council members, this breakout session is going to be led by Zariah and by Mariana. So I'm going to hand it over to them.
So you're already supposed to enter the room across the way. Yeah. There you go. We'll come in handy too. Yeah.
Great, so I think we're gonna start with, it's not a lot of pages, but maybe like the 7th page of our packet has a list of the survey responses that we have. Where's the? Oh. Great. So we're just starting. So my name is Ryan Weishauer. I'm one of the folks on the advisory council. I do not know more than you do. I am just here. I offer to facilitate the session because of a facilitator. That said, I definitely don't have any of the answers, right? So I'm just the same as you all. So in page 7 of the binders, I have no idea what that means, folks online, because I don't know what you were sent. But there should be a sheet that we got where we got the survey responses from the answers that we gave to the survey. And so it's about the 7th page in the binder, and the topic says mutual consultation with environmental justice. And so I think we have this question before us, which we started talking about in the last meeting, which is how do we want to engage with the community? How do we want to engage with the community? How do we get the information that we need? How do we want to get input in a way that actually works for us? And so I guess the first thing I would just have us do, and maybe I will read them replay when the online.
Is it possible to hold the microphone even closer and then look at us occasionally when you're talking? I just want to see if it would affect the sound, if it depends which way you're facing.
Sorry, can you say what you said again?
I'm just wondering if it makes a difference if you turn towards us or not. It's still hard to hear at some points.
Is it still hard to hear? I'm holding the mic right by my mouth.
I know you are, but it is still a little tricky. I'm not sure. I'm not helping you troubleshoot, but it is hard to hear.
I mean, I think I'm speaking pretty loudly.
Yes, that's great. Just keep doing that. Go. Thank you.
So, yes. How do you feel okay with moving the table to maybe just joining? We are moving. Is what is happening.
Feel free to get closer so that it doesn't look so.
I don't want to be.
You can be. No, I don't know, whatever you want, but don't feel like.
Okay. Okay, so I think we are going to start just with intros. And I'll just start. Do we want to do intros? I don't know who you are. Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Would you like to know who we are?
Yes. Hi.
Can folks hear me?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Great. I'm going to keep shouting. I'm Haley. I use they, them pronouns. I'm an environmental justice organizer called Slingshot, also the coordinator of the Migrant Justice Board and the Viva Award Culinary Collective. And I do know you because you recently married me. So I'm just here as a member of the public for now.
Mary doesn't perform the ceremony now.
No, they're not married, actually.
Hi, I'm Emily Alger. I use she, her pronoun. I work with the South Carolina Trust, and I'm also here as a member of. Hi, my name is Dexter Mayo. I use she, them pronouns. I'm here as a member of the public, but I am intern for the agency.
Did we get muted again?
I think I should mute button right on top. Caitlin Ellerman, she, her. I am with an agency of natural resources. I actually attended the first meeting, and Allison Beats asked if myself and Rachel Stevens could attend. We're from the Office of General Counsel. We're quite familiar with the state law and requirements. So I'm going to be sitting on the outside and available as a resource to good morning on the mute button. Good. Hi everyone, my name is Macy Campbell. I use she, her pronouns. I'm here both as a member of the public and representing my organization, the Lake Champlain Basin Program. We're also an organization receiving federal funds that has been asked to make a plan to prioritize disadvantaged or underserved communities. So trying to make sure that we're engaged with our states as we're all going on similar processes. Hi all, my name is Megan Kuzno. I use she, her pronouns. I work for the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. I'm the program manager of the Environmental Assistance Office. I'm also the Department of Environmental Conservation Environmental Justice Coordinator. So I'm here today to support the Civil Rights and Environmental Justice Unit. Hi all, I'm Esther Charleston, and I'm a member of the public. No fancy titles. Yay!
Hi everybody, I'm Connor Wertz, I use he, him pronouns, and I'm with 350 Vermont, one of their community organizers. Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. We see this in the A1tastic LHC. I don't know why. My name is Rich Walshu. I am a citizen of the Algonquin tribe. I'm from down the road in the river in Brattleboro. I am chair of the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs and representing Native communities.
Hello, my name is Walter Brownridge. I'm he, him pronouns. I'm an Episcopal priest, so I serve the Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Vermont, Shannon McLean Brown, where she has been working on issues around racial justice and equality, but care for creation amongst being a chief of staff. I have that background as a lawyer before my last 24 years in ministry. Some of that was in environmental justice work, as well as a lot of intervening years community organizing with various cities in the United States and also overseas.
Hello everyone, my name is Mariam Shapira Basi, and I work as program coordinator with the University of Vermont, and here in my independent capacity member Environmental Justice Advisory Council. I see more online enforcement.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Berg. I'm here on the advisory council representing the conservation district in Vermont. So the Natural Resource Conservation Council is our overarching council. And I work for Whiteberg Natural Resource Conservation District. We serve every resident of our district with our mandate. We especially work with farmers
education analyst of Charlotte Farms about education for sustainability programs, and I also did environmental justice research when I started my dissertation. I'm a member.
Good afternoon, my name is Kai Morris, I use she, her pronouns. I am a member of the advisory council as well. In many hats involving environmental justice work, including helping to support the passage of this law. And the creation of this council is in of itself.
Great, my name is Zoraya Hightower. I use she, her pronouns and strongly prefer to be addressed by my first name, which is Zoraya. I'm the municipal representative, so I'm on the Burlington City Council and representing municipal governments as part of the advisory council. I have a history in environment and equity work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariana. I work with Hunger Free Vermont. I do outreach, and I'm a member of the council too. So I'm happy to be here and share space with all of you.
So I don't know who is online. If folks, I just see that there are people online. If you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, feel free to do so now.
Hi there. This is Trey Martin. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm here today as the representative from the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board. I have a background as an environmental lawyer and a public official at the Agency of Natural Resources in the last administration.
Gail?
Hi, my name is Gail Pezzo.
Oh, Gail, you can mute yourself. Gail, you're still on mute. You're trying to speak. Maybe that was it. That was the intro. So if somebody else wants to go.
Should I go? I'm Anne DeLevo. I'm in Manchester, Vermont, and I'm a member of 350 Vermont and Earth Matters Manchester.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dale Azaria. I'm with Conservation Law Foundation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Watson. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the social justice representative for the EJ Advisory Council and the new digital equity officer for Vermont Community Broadband Board.
Hi, everyone. This is Megan O'Toole. I'm the Climate Change Mitigation Program Coordinator at the Climate Action Office at the Agency of Natural Resources.
Great. Last call. Anyone else? Great. Then I will hand it back to Alex. Oh, go ahead.
One quick question. Is it possible for Alex to try to unmute Gail as the organizer? I'm not able to do that. But that's all. Thank you.
I don't think you can unmute anyone even if you're the organizer.
It is not.
Okay, thanks. I'll send her something in the chat.
Okay, so I'm just gonna hand it off to, we had a meeting before, some of us were there first and some of us we're just gonna get a quick 1 minute overview again of what the role is of the advisory council, or we try to flesh out how we would like to do that.
Yeah. Hi again, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. In the binaries, we actually have a little one-pager that's talking about the scope of work for the advisory council, but I'll just say it very briefly. This council is embedded into every part of the EJ law, from community engagement work to talking about environmental benefits, reducing environmental burdens, the different reporting. So you are really central, and for each part, for each deliverable, almost each deliverable, you're consulted or have an advisory role to play. So more information on the little one pager, but I'm going to hand it back to you all.
Great, so we were given a survey by Alex and Thebes. I'm just gonna have Mariana read through what some of the answers were, or we're gonna start with the first one, and then we're gonna have a discussion around what we see some of the success factors. And then based on that, we're gonna create a list of needs that we have and a list of offerings. So what we think we can do and what we need in order to be able to do that, and then we're gonna try to synthesize that so that we can communicate it back to what needs to know for us, get our needs met, and also to understand what we think we can offer. Sound like a plan for the next, I don't know, 45 minutes, I guess. 45 minutes. Okay, so if you can start with the first one and then we'll talk.
Sure, so this is the survey that we all were sent, and the first question was the Vermont environmental justice law often calls on advisory council members to consult on deliverables that the covered agencies, the Agency of Natural Resources, or the Interagency Committee are responsible for. What does meaningful consultation of the advisory council look like to you? And I will read the responses. Out of the 11 members, 8 people responded, and the answers were regular joint discussions as often as needed, thorough exploration, examination, and understanding of the topics discussed for deliverables, that they can ask questions, they listen to answers, clarify, and agree that they are all understanding the questions and answers, and council issue recommendations. Those recommendations are really taken into consideration and actually applied, especially when it's actions rather than words, means ample time and opportunity to be consulted with. It would look like for us to be empowered to conduct different stage review processes and negotiate serious disparities in opinion before. Council members should be called in to testify on related bills. And the last answer is being involved late enough in the process that decisions have been made and a clear vision for the deliverables is made, but not so late that those decisions can't be outdated. So those were the answers to the first question. Do you want me to read the second, or do you want to have time to talk about what meaningful consultation? Yeah, and I thought there were 2 questions. I'm just letting you know those are the answers to the same questions. That answered them. So that the second that answered them wasn't us, it was the Interagency Committee. So we go ahead and maybe just try to skim through that. And so we can now, if anybody has anything to add or anything that comes out of that, we can just spread in terms of what you have in terms of the vision for what meaningful consultation looks like. Feel free to shout it out. But then while you're doing that, you should have a pen and sticky. So feel free to also write on the sticky notes anything that comes up for you. Again, with those 2 themes of like, what do you have for a need in order to make this happen, this vision happen, and what do you have as a resource? What are the things you think you can offer? And I think one of the things that I'm going to kick us off with for discussion is, I feel like when I'm already starting to feel overwhelmed with how many agencies there are and how many of us there are. And I feel like having 2 people assigned to each agency, so that there's always someone who, even if somebody's busy and can't touch base right now, that they have a touch point, but then not all of us are trying to cover all of the agencies all of the time. Maybe my first vision for success. Anybody have other thoughts, visions they'd like to share?
One thing which I really want to be happen with the members, of course, is that we talk about regular joint discussion as often needed. So we really need to, I'm not sure if that is part of the timeline you guys have shared already, Alex, but I really want that there should be a timeline with the advisory council members. They should meet regularly, perhaps once in a month, because everyone is busy with other tasks as well as their responsibilities. But that also depends on the need and emerging issue, like previously we had this environmental air quality issue. which Canadian fires was affecting us. I felt that advisory council members should have met one time and talked between us that how it is affecting communities wherever we are living and wherever we are working. Of course, we were talking about community engagement in today's meeting, Alex. I saw that on the agenda too. But I was expecting from other advisory, or maybe you guys are working in your domains, but we don't know, we didn't talk to each other, so I'm not aware of that. And second is, of course, like the flood situation right now. What I mean to say is that we need to define, and we should meet online or in person, whatever is possible. I mean, it's really easy these days to meet online and decide a time once in a month to discuss about certain agenda items. And it should not be like really fancy and a lot of paperwork and everything. Just meet whatever agenda points we have, discuss, and what we ask from the government and relevant departments, and they should be providing us answers accordingly related to any issue or concern we are having for our communities which we are representing. So how regular joint discussion we want, that really needs to be defined, and there should be a timeline on that.
Mariam, is this representative of what you were trying to say? Have monthly meetings?
Yeah.
And also have eventual meetings when the situation or
Yeah.
the need arises.
That's right.
Okay. I just chime in now.
Hi, this is Caitlin. So before we move on from that topic, I appreciate that point a lot. I just want to flag a couple things in light of the public body aspect of it, which came up during the first meeting, which I think was early March. So you have to be thinking about ways to address that, that need or that request in a format that complies with sort of the requirements for open meeting and record keeping. So, you know, if you have a certain portion of the members attend there needs to be minutes, etc. But there might be another format that you can consider sort of flagging issues such as error alert, like you want to make sure this information is available to XYZ populations, whatever it might be. So I just want to flag that piece, which I know came out in terms of quorum, having a meeting, making sure it's open. And then the other piece is the law itself caps your number of meetings. So again, you can find, think about other ways to share 8 per calendar year and 4 of them jointly with the Interagency Committee. So it's restricted, but you can, again, start thinking about ways to address these sort of interim topics.
Thanks for that. So I think what we just heard is we have a need for regular meetings. We are expecting at least 4 meetings with us as a whole council. I think, so there's some way that we need to, and those will be regularly scheduled, it's easy to warn them, all of the things for within their agency committee. I think that if there's some way that we can think about subdividing ourselves so that we're not reaching form, which could be saying, oh, we're meeting on a topical basis, right? We're meeting on an agency basis, and not all of us will be there. I think that's actually one way to do that. Are there other suggestions for ways to break up our meetings so that we do not?
I wonder if, besides the topical, and maybe it can be done in the topical basis, but the opportunity for more members of the public to give us input. I know they can email or whatever, but some of those meetings are opportunities that can break up to meet with the public and maybe meet with them on specific issues. I just wonder.
Yes, I
I think that having them not be the form meetings doesn't mean that they can't be public meetings where you invite specific members of the public, just let people generally know this is, I think actually what encouraged, like, for the like thing we just had is if somebody's just talking about housing, they're not coming to general meeting.
You already answered, but I just want to say that how we are going to engage communities are, they have it in the agenda today, it was later off that what should be the way to engage communities and, have a public representative, they have to be taking their inputs, that needs to be strategized, and this will be done today.
No, actually, I think Councilor Byrne had her hand up for a while, so right here. Thank you.
And if you can hold it, that would be helpful. So thinking of this 8 meeting limit, there's 6 months left in the year, we've had 2, so we're kind of on track to meeting the one term here on out. But the way I think about this work is really the work of the advisory council is sort of separated into 2 categories. There's some very clear and present tasks to set up this law. And then there's these ongoing forever tasks of the seat that the council will always hold. So just wanted to say that, and that's sort of the balance right now is you can fill some of those immediate needs by having meetings, in our community. And I'd love to talk about the budget for that too, and what the timing of that budget is.
Thank you, Kaya Morris. So I do recognize that there are some strictures within the law. We cannot let the bureaucracy keep us from getting the work done. Woo! As we are you can get rule changes, you can request exemptions from the state. As the state does not have a convening body of this nature that has this level of diversity of voices that are needed at this point in time, you have a compelling interest to be able to press the state to release some of those strictures as needed. So I don't want folks to feel like there is no way around it because the bureaucracy cannot be the thing that wins over our climate crisis. The further piece that I need to name on this though as well is the ultimate question we were asking is how can we best be of communication in space with those who are making these decisions. So this is going to be this way. The public sees us as the only space right now. They are looking at us as the advisory council as the only potential voice of the actual public. And right now, our state is underwater. So it's going to be necessary that our voices are not only given equal weight, but in some ways that we're deferred to as the primary source of where should we go with this work. Because the public's needing that from us right now. There is no place other than to go through the state systems and report, as it says in our duties here, to review the decisions that were made, right? Already made past us, to take a look at the complaints that were already made, but there is no entity other than these public spaces, these public meeting and comment opportunities for the public to bring their concerns and be heard by anybody other than the agencies that are already ignoring their needs. Just agree. So I feel pretty strongly, that there are things that are dictated within the law, but then there's also an expectation that is not unreasonable from the public, from what they are hoping that we will be able to bring to this, so it's not just more of us just meeting and not getting things done. So I just sort of needed to name that.
I love that, Kaya. I do. As someone who passes stuff on the city council and Kaya who's done historically, as a legislature, you really have to babysit your things to make sure they happen. And to some extent, this is the law. I don't know what will happen if we don't follow it. But I think we should push those boundaries either in asking for permission or in begging for forgiveness. Do what we need to do. And then I think, and maybe let's start there. I think that's a good break in terms of like the number one thing that I think is all of us is how do we, because there's a fine line between collecting the voices of the public and representing the voices of the public. And I think those of us in the advisory council are walking that line. And so I think if folks could just, if we could switch to the sticky sticky notes now, and if folks could write down some of their needs around specifically the public piece and how you imagine what you feel like you need to be to both have the chance to hear the public voices, but then also to be a good representative of it and a good steward of those voices. And what you feel like you want to do. So what are the actions that you feel like you need, that you want to bring in the spaces, and then, like I heard Kaya say that to some extent, you feel like she needs to be, like the word that you said, that you're heard, but that you're the voice of authority, essentially. And folks online, I think if you can just add it to the chat, then maybe Alex can add that to our IRL sticky file.
So do you think try things when they like pass around the call with a cell phone and then have to call with a cell phone? It's like one pass. Do you have a pass? Or should we pass? Is that when you could do it? Community engagement.
Could someone state again what the current question is that's being asked so I can write it in the chat?
Hey, can you?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Can you hear?
Yes, that's amazing. Yes.
Okay, we just need to figure out echoing.
Yep.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, we need to figure it out on our end because it's echoing.
Yep.
No, we need to.
Are we on the second question?
I think it's because we can hear it from here and from here. So there needs to be like a noise now. Okay. Just turn the volume on. Yeah. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. Don't we want to have the sound on there so we can hear it? Can you turn it off on there? I don't know how to mute the sound on a phone.
Can you turn the volume down, like the volume button down? Does that?
Oh, that's
so that it's almost in, or plug some headphones into it. I'm not sure.
Okay, so maybe we go.
The volume down, the volume down, the volume down.
The question is how we host meeting. I think the hybrid is a concern. I think we have 3 advisory councils, I'm pretty sure, online. And so, I'm curious of the opinion of the rest of the group in terms of an online meeting, like alternating or something like that. We're certainly used to online now.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. I was thinking the same thing. This is becoming more of an attention toward what we're doing and how we're doing and moving and passing the microphone and trying to accomplish almost an impossible task, and we are developing less time into what we need to do. So maybe we should decide that one every so often, and we can discuss this right now. If we don't feel like we're ready, we meet in person and we forget about the online work, and then the rest of the meetings are online so that we can move faster and we, we're all used to this. This is pretty much accessible to most people these days, and we'll make sure that we accommodate those who cannot, participate online somehow. But the hybrid option is proving challenging and very distracting. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to say that monthly or regular meetings of environmental justice council members we're talking about. I mean, if I have to vote, we are a smaller group, the environmental justice council members. We can meet online, that's very inconvenient. But of course, we have to respect the opinion of other members too. But of course, when we have to involve public, that's another way of, doing in-person meeting. But when we are discussing any agenda, that how we should be finding out the solution for certain community in an area, that we can discuss online always. I mean, that is, at least for me, it's really convenient.
Thank you again, kind more she, her. So I do appreciate this. If we must have meetings online, of course I will support it. It is not a format that works for me. I find it kind of ableist, and we've done this for so many years now, post-COVID. My brain's not interested at all, and I find it very challenging. So I would ask for us to consider this, and I recognize that this particular venue we're not prepared for a hybrid, but that does not mean hybrid meetings are not a possibility. Do occur successfully in places all the time. So it's just a matter of working out logistics, the preparation for the meeting, which is also actually not. So we're just supposed to come and participate. Anybody else have comments on meetings and formats and frequencies? And I'm not sure if we move to where continue talking because there's no consensus, or if we table these for later. I don't know.
I think online we just recognize we're trying, but in the interest of moving forward, we're gonna try as best as we can, and you may not be able to hear everything. We apologize, but we might move forward. That said, if you can't hear us, I'm holding the mic. I will be doing some reading off, so feel free to write it into the chat. Hopefully Alex can capture it. So from the things that we have, and I don't know if Alex has saw anything that is online, but she can add to it as I go on, as I start. The first thing is just the funding piece, which I think is good to start talking through. The second thing is what it looks like to visit communities, what that means for responsibilities in terms of if that means staff time is organizing that, or if council members are organizing that. And then there's some like tech capacity. So what does it look like to have a listserv when folks are interested in different things? What does it look like to have a survey and a needs assessment? What does it look like to have information that's plain language and easily accessible? Then we had some process points, so both having an iterative process of receiving public feedback, and then making sure that that iterative process shows that that at the end, folks can see their voices clearly reflected in the final input. And then the final thing was around what had also been Kaya's point, which is that we need to have real buy-in from the agencies and some sort of deference to our expertise. And then I might even add to that, like, even thinking about things like that you start making goals and you're counting things. There's some, not just marking things because you're like, oh, that's close enough, let's just count it, let's just add it. But then there's some curiosity around how things are being done as opposed to just trying to meet check boxes. Do those feel like they are inclusive of your thoughts and capture the points that you have? Is there anything folks would like to add to this list? List of needs for community engagement. I think another need that I have, and I wonder if other folks are feeling the same, is I feel like not just deference, but I also feel like there's some level of autonomy. Like if we're going to have public trust, that means that we can't, to some extent, some of the agency staff, I think, need to protect themselves and protect how they're doing things. And I want to make sure that we're not part of that, that we are seen as somewhat separate.
Okay.
Any other needs folks might have that you're hearing that are coming up? How much time do we have left, Alex?
I think they'll be coming back pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any final comments then?
Did I say 2:35? Yeah. For them to come back.
When it was working.
Oh, so sorry.
1:35?
It's pretty. Yeah, this was supposed to stop at 1:30. We'll just wait till they come back. I think.
You want me to go say a few words for them?
How much? Okay, there you go.
I guess I'm curious because at the last meeting, we started to talk about like how we as an advisory council work together and we basically agreed that we wanted to reach consensus, but we didn't really reach consensus of how we reach consensus and even how we might vote. So if that's something, I don't know if that's now or maybe at our.
I was gonna say, since they're not back yet, let's talk about it. I mean, do you want to? Let's go. I think this will take all of the time that you give.
It's, you know, the agenda, the next part is coming together, action plan and core engagement principles, and how we need to take up our space and core engagement principles need to like go down, we can, you know, like let's show up for what feels alive in the room.
Maybe give us, because I think this is an important question, so maybe give us 5 or 10 more.
Really fine, yeah, yeah, because we'll be here in 10.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think we can just talk through this, because I also saw the consensus, and I don't remember what we decided, because I wasn't in the room last time, those other folks remote, but I saw that we said consensus, and then we said that we vote. If that just gets rid of the whole consensus piece, either we're doing it by consensus or we're voting, I think it's weird to do both. Anybody have other thoughts on how we're doing?
Thanks again, Kyle Morris speaking. So based on my experience dealing with the Climate Council, so consensus obviously can be sticky depending on who's creating that vote. What I think is most important is that if there is a dissenting opinion, that is somehow captured, because we might be a dissenting opinion, quite honestly, when we're together between the two entities. That needs to be captured somehow and made available for folks to be aware of, because otherwise it presents as though there's a unified voice. Quite often there is not. So sometimes consensus is reached by acquiescence or through silence rather than through robust agreement and consent. So I think that would be my piece. So not wanting to have to move to a vote, but making sure that if there's some folks that are like, I just got a fundamental issue with this, I understand we're going to move forward on this process, but I really want to make sure my voice is captured, that is done.
I think that makes sense. And I wonder if we can agree to, we will make decisions by consensus. You can say, if there is a document that we're writing, somebody can say via the document that, you know, like, Hi Morris decided not to stand in the way of consent, but disagrees. And that there's also, if we're truly split, that whatever we're presenting has both voices. So it has like, here's the things that most people agree on, and here's some things that are counter to that a lot of people also. So that we either, when we're putting something out, we're putting it out as a council. And if we can't do that, then we don't.
Just for a point of clarification, what Councilman Morris just said, if one dissents or maybe, you know, like concurs, does not want to stand in the way of the consent, but has a position, would that be something that would be also written, like if they wanted to turn it into?
So how it was managed within the Climate Council and the committees that use that process, the individual who dissented had the decision as to whether or not they wanted their name attached to their dissent. They could say there was a dissenting opinion because they had concerns about what that would mean for the watershed, X, Y, or Z. That's the most important piece to me, is the why, rather than just the yes or no. That makes sense? Like that's an important piece of information that I think everyone needs to hear. So I think there's absolutely a way that it doesn't have to be a requirement that Councilor X said it's crap, you know, but that Councilor X might have, you know, like they were.
Said why.
Correct. And then that's captured, and that brings more wholeness and recognizes the voices of all.
So in practicing this method, we agree that we will make decisions by consent
folks can stand named or nameless, with not in that consent. And the important thing to capture is everybody's opinion. So whether that is capturing concerns, whether that is capturing the whole, we'll try to create a document and folks can say, actually, I need this one opinion to really be voiced. Do we have consent on that?
And we can do, you can do 5 to face, like if 5 means I'm in total agreement, I can go with it, I still need to talk about it, I agree to talk about it, I cannot move forward. 3 moves forward, but.
Oh, I think that's where I have that, can we do, I consent?
Yeah.
I consent, but I don't agree, but I won't stand. Consent, but then. So then we just have 3, otherwise I think we'll spend a lot of time asking what the 5 are again. So, thumbs up, thumbs to the side, thumbs down. Thumbs up is we consent. Thumbs to the side is I have some concerns, but I won't stand in the way of consent. Can we talk about it? Thumbs down is I can't consent to this. So do we have consent on how we use consent? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Council members online, I see Trace, thumbs up. Brittany, Gail. I'm not sure how many folks are online. Yeah. Okay, Megan, Gail, I just saw your hands raised. I don't know if that means thumbs up or yes. I don't know if that means a sideways and you want to say something. Okay, Megan's a thumbs up. Gail, did you have thoughts? No, that works for you, Gail. Okay. Great. I feel like for the minute I'm like, anything else, we're just gonna pop back in and we. Does that feel good?
There is a place where we do vote in the law. There's one place that specifically says that we vote in terms of, when it comes down to our review of potential rules that the agencies put out, it goes to us, and I'm not entirely sure the exact language, but it does say that the advisory council members will vote if they want to, recommend that the rule moves forward.
Right, so I think we can still do that by consent and say, the council by consent approved this, or by consent did not approve this, and here were dissenting opinions to that consent or not. So I think that's one of the places where we'll not let the bureaucracy tell us how to do it. Great. Then feel free to keep talking. I'm gonna tell people that we at least got somewhere. I will capture, or Alex might capture the categories of things that we have in the needs. And then maybe that's something we can talk about in the next meeting is how to get those met. But for now, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, we can. As a potentially helpful next step, Phoebes and I can take this, synthesize your feedback, and reach out with suggested next steps. And also, when we come back together jointly now, we're going to be talking concretely about next steps for developing core principles of community engagement. So, and thinking about when we want to meet next. So if we decide to meet next in the next month, we can also bring this feedback to you all, touch base with you all individually if that's helpful. So yeah, we will reflect on that. And also just to queue up for this next part, for the core principles of community engagement, which is the first deliverable that's due on September 1st. We want to ensure that the advisory council is meaningfully consulted, even though the interagency committee is drafting those principles. So just thinking again, I think early on we were reflecting back on what meaningful consultation looks like. And circling back to that when their agency folks come in, because we're going to be practicing that live time today, and we're starting to develop these principles. How can we ensure that the interagency folks are really meaningfully consulted with you all? So yeah, they should be coming back. Maybe this would be a good time to take a bio break, maybe use the restroom or get some water. We'll rearrange the room